Fellas, AC here. Welcome to another review. Today I'm going to talk about Hugo Boss, which is getting a lot of positive press, a lot of hype around this fragrance, and this is called Hugo Boss Bottled Absolu. So Hugo Boss Bottled Absolu has been released this year, 2024, and it's getting a lot of positive press. A lot of people are praising this fragrance. Now, I am not a big fan of Boss Bottle because there's one every year, and I can't remember anything apart from the first Hugo Boss bottle made by Anik Menado, which has impressed me so that I could remember it. There are many, so I'm not in the sort of a fan base, if you like. I sprayed this and I've tested it about 4 or 5 times. So this fragrance is confusing me in the sense that why is there so much positive press about a fragrance which does basically what every Middle Eastern house does. So the notes breakdown says here on the sample, it says that it's got 3 accords. One, top notes is a leather accord. The middle is a patchouli essence and the base is a cedar. Now, if you check Fragrantica, it'll tell you that it's got a note of myrrh, which is what interested me most. I quite like fragrances with myrrh. Myrrh gives a fragrance a very meditative and very calm sort of an appearance and feel. And I can smell a little medicinal myrrh in this fragrance. But what is confusing me is that fragrance, when you smell this, you can get this kind of fragrances from Middle Eastern houses for less than £20. You know, there are many fragrances which do leather with patchouli and cedar and sweetness and sourness, and that's what you get here. So sourness is like the sourness you get from saffron, right? There's this little leather, there's hardly any leather, but it's more like a saffron note which has a leathery facet. So that's what I'm smelling here. Little sour, little sweet, and there's this waxy patchouli which is absolutely subduing development of everything else. So the patchouli is like a sort of a waxy, dark patchouli. And this fragrance becomes dark in about 5 minutes. And then all the notes are completely encased in that patchouli, which is waxy in nature and just can't pump out. So you can feel there is myrrh, you can feel there's woodiness, cedar, you can feel that there's spiciness, saffron, not mentioned, but none of it just is able to come out. It's that patchouli, the waxy patchouli, which is completely encased everything else and no development happens. It's sweet, sour, little bit, here and there kind of fragrance. So I got confused. I was thinking to myself, why is everybody praising this? Because there is no development. There's only one note. So that's what confused me. And I've tested it 5 or 6 times now. This fragrance will remain exactly like this for, 8 hours, 9 hours. And it slowly becomes a little bit more lighter on the patchouli, more lighter on the waxy note. And that waxy note makes the fragrance smell like a Rexine sofa, the fox leather kind of a sofa. There's no leather here. Maybe there's a little bit of leather. Hardly any. I mean, leather would be 10% of the fragrance. But it's the top note. So hardly any fragrances start with the top note of leather. But yeah, I mean, this is the kind of fragrance which many Middle Eastern houses go into. So they develop into this kind of... This is like a dry down of any Middle East fragrance for £20. Any Armaf which has leather, saffron, rose, patchouli, woods, any Armaf, any Latafa, they go into this dry down and they have those notes. And this is the dry down of that fragrance. So that's what confused me. It's like one aroma chemical with slight facets here and there, and that aroma chemical is patchouli, waxy patchouli. So that's what surprised me. So upsides and downsides. Let's be objective. So I do not want my disappointment to overshadow. But number one upside of this fragrance is that they're trying to do something which is Middle Eastern in style. And this is where most, not all, but most Western houses fail emphatically, because leave the Middle Eastern perfumery alone. Let the Middle Eastern houses do their fragrances, because their audience is very demanding. They want complexity, multiple layers, very strong fragrances, because they like to wear very strong fragrances. So this one is strong, all right, yes, but it doesn't have any layers. It's just that patchouli. So number one upside, I don't know. I couldn't figure out a single upside of this fragrance apart from the fact that this is very strong. Yeah, okay, this is strong. So maybe that's the upside. Number one, it's very strong. And it's trying to do a Middle Eastern perfumery pat on the back. But let's look at the downsides. Number one downside, it's a nothing fragrance on my skin. And I've tested it on paper as well. It just has no development. It's like one single aroma chemical, just doing bits and bobs here and there. Compliment factor, doubt it you'll get any compliments wearing this. Maybe you will. I do not know. Depends on who smells it. It's very strong. Seasons. It's a cold weather fragrance. It's a single aroma molecule which is very thick and quite dense, and it's trying to do the Middle Eastern thing badly, but it's a very dense fragrance. So I think it's a cold weather fragrance. I know it's a cold weather fragrance. Age groups 30 plus, 35 plus. Patchouli is the only dominant note here. I can't ask, it's not even a fruity patchouli, so I can't ask a 20-year-old boy to go and test this out. It's a 30 plus, 35 plus fragrance. Occasions where you want to wear this to, anywhere you do not want to impress people because it's such a boring fragrance. I think you should test it. Maybe it'll work on your skin. Maybe my skin is not working with this fragrance, but I wouldn't recommend you wear this anywhere. I would recommend you don't buy this. Just test it and see, because in my eyes, this is a dud. This is a failure. Misfire. That's the best word. It's a misfire. I'm very confused why this is so popular. I really am. I've covered all aspects, haven't I? Performance, yeah, this gun's out for about 3 hours. It lasts on your skin for about 16. It's a very strong fragrance, and it has good projection, good throw as well. Throws, I mean, it can really project. You move your hands, I'm smelling it. But it's the composition which is not very nice. It's the patchouli which is killing it. So I think I've covered all aspects, haven't I? I don't like to do negative reviews, and I'm ending up doing a negative review because this is so popular. So I wanted to give you my thought as well, and maybe you'll find some value in this. Maybe you'll go and test it and see, rather than blind buying, because when something is so popular, so hyped, people tend to blind buy. And I want to make sure that you really take care of your money and always sample. Always. Maybe you'll find this review completely wrong. Maybe you'll say, this works on my skin, AC. What are you talking about? Maybe it'll work, hopefully. And if it does work, then definitely go and buy it. For me, it's medicinal patchouli with a waxy undertone, which does not develop at all, doesn't allow the notes to blossom on your skin. It's just one thing, just gunning out. I've smelled this many times in Middle Eastern fragrances in their dry down. So I wasn't much pleased, much impressed. Forget about being pleased, because I wouldn't spend any money on this. I'll never buy a bottle of this. Value for money for me is very low. So, final thoughts. I think, as I said, this is a dud. This is a thing which is misfired. Because in today's world, we have access to amazing Middle Eastern fragrances. Save your money. Spend it on that, because you'll get this dry down in any Middle Eastern fragrance that has a dominant note of leather and saffron, right? With myrrh and patchouli. Maybe, but leather and saffron will do this. And that's what I'm getting. Leather and saffron for that much money. It's a lot of money. So those are my final thoughts. How many marks will I give it? For me, it's not even one of those fragrances where I'll say go and sample it because there's something there. So it's a fail. Neutral, 5. So maybe you'll like it, go and sample it if you're really intrigued about it. And if you're already intrigued by all those positive reviews, this will give you a little bit of downside as well, the other perspective. So hopefully you like it, or you'll not like it, or you'll find this review useful. So take care. Hope you like the review, fellas. Take care.